across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Good evening and welcome to Drive Time right here on Talk. I'm your host, Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'll be with you all the way to 7 o'clock. Stand by for 3 compelling hours of breaking news, challenging views and topical debate. Get on the show, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. It's Black Friday, November the 28th. Here's what's coming up. More asylum seekers than ever clogging up the country and destroying what's left of our shattered economy. More and more disillusioned Brits stacking their cards and heading abroad in an unprecedented exodus, and a grotesquely bloated welfare state spiralling out of control. No hope, no future, no chance. This is what this obscenely incompetent Labour government has done to Britain in just 16 months of catastrophic chaos. To see Dumb and Dumber, two-tier Keir and Rachel from accounts lying their craven heads off after the budget from hell speech on Wednesday made me want to spew. How about you? 0344 499 1000. Now, apart from declaring war on hard-working families and businesses by taxing them to the hilt, these lousy Labour losers are at war with themselves. In a rare moment of common sense, Starmer has decided that his disgraced former Deputy Angela Rayner's absurd workers' rights bill is unworkable. Among Big Angie's other ludicrous proposals, just maybe it's not a great idea to let employees sue for unfair dismissal on day one of their jobs. So in yet another broken manifesto promise, in yet another of his trademark U-turns, our supreme leader, Starmer, wants to rip up this charter for industrial disaster. Well, good idea, but no way, cry the left-wing backbenchers who now rule the long-suffering UK. Rayner, who has yet to pay the £40,000 stamp duty she tried to wriggle out of, is leading the rebellion, which is guaranteed to succeed. As the welfare reduction row emphatically proved, the tragically weak Prime Minister no longer calls the shots. Meanwhile, stunned by the backlash against his justice-destroying plan to scrap trials by jury, thick as mince Justice Secretary David Lammy is also on the cusp of Labour's latest humiliating U-turn. This is a shambles, folks, a dangerous shambles, rocketing poor, lost Britain to hell in a handcart. 0344 499 1000. In other news, after the shocking shooting in Washington and the sad death of one of the victims at the gun-toting hands of an Afghan national, Donald Trump orders a massive crackdown on migration in the States. Isn't it about time we did the same on this side of the Atlantic? 0344 499 1000. Also on today's action-packed show, the drag queen show for kids shut down after furious parents protested, the firefighter chief sacked for letting his staff use the word fireman, Instagram-obsessive Meghan's nauseating Thanksgiving message, and the truth about Black Friday. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now, on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Friday afternoon together. And for the first half hour, really pleased to welcome to the show, because we've got some good stuff to get through, some strong stuff to get through, former government special advisor, James Price. Welcome, James.
And it's good to see you've had your Weetabix. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I've had 3. I'm ready to go. I'm really, really furious. I mean, just off the bat, did you share? I was watching Starmer, particularly Starmer and Reeves, after that awful speech the other day on the budget speech. Starmer, challenged by the improving Beth Rigby of Sky News. She said, well, you've gone back on your promise. Rachel Reeves said a year ago that we can't possibly afford the 2-cap child benefit. Why have you gone back on your promise? He said, Let me answer that. I have always stood foursquare behind the cause of getting children out of poverty. That doesn't answer the question. I wanted to throw a brick at the screen, and in fairness to Beth Rigby, who I've had my qualms about in the past, she physically looked furious. These people, they're just lying and lying and lying. It's a disaster.
They really are. It's hard to know where to start because once you've called someone a liar to their face and they keep on lying, it's almost hard to know where to go. I don't know if you're a fan of Texas Hold'em poker, games like that when you play against people who don't really understand the rules of the game. You know, they kind of go all in on the first go or something randomly. It's kind of hard to play against them. And that's how I feel it is dealing with these Labour politicians because they're so mendacious. They just lie and lie and lie, and they roll through scandal after scandal, despite spending the last 14 years of Tory rule saying how they were the good and decent and moral people, right? So you now have a situation where, what have we had recently? The homelessness minister made people homeless. The anti-corruption minister got caught in corruption. The housing minister got caught getting extra houses for herself, and so on and so on and so on. You then get to this mad, evil budget. It turns out that the Chancellor has lied to the British public for the last few months now of all this speculation, talking up a huge, what she kept calling a black hole, this idea that we were going to have to find some enormous amount of money either through spending restraint or through tax rises because the numbers didn't add up. And she kept going on and on about this. It turns out she was lying because the Office for Budget Responsibility told her some months ago now that wasn't the case, and that although there were various problems with things like productivity that have been offset by other areas where the economy was somehow still miraculously growing. So it was all a complete lie. She didn't need to do the humongous level of tax rises that she's ended up doing to clobber the hardworking people of this country. She has done it so that she could steal the money of people who are working and watching this program right now to give it to various causes that will please her backbenchers and keep her in her job. And I think that is utterly disgraceful. Having been caught out for this, she should have the honour and the decency to resign, which of course means she won't.
Exactly right, because she doesn't have honour or decency. Well, I want to get to that in a little while. I've kind of run ahead of myself here, or we both have, because first I wanted to talk about.
It's just so infuriating, isn't it? It's hard to know.
I honestly, I'm well known for being calm and serene most of the time, but my God, listening to these liars on the screen. Shut up. You are making a shambles of the country. You're ruining this country. That budget was a watershed moment. It was when we stopped being a country of even meagre aspiration and optimism and became a welfare state system with a country attached. But let's talk about a part of this omni-shambles, which is the asylum seeker crisis, the spiralling migrant crisis that this government is incapable of doing it. It's not even starting to solve it, let alone actually solving it. But so asylum seekers, James, now account for almost half of net migration. This is getting ridiculous, isn't it?
It's absolutely extraordinary. First of all, I think we should be glad that the numbers overall of people coming into the country is down from the eye-watering and ludicrous highs that it got to, and it has to be said, under Boris Johnson, the so-called Boris wave. Most of these changes are actually changes that the Conservatives did put in before the general election, knowing that you'd never actually see the benefits of it. But well done to people like Rob Jenrick and James Cleverly and some others for putting some of these changes in. Nevertheless, it's still way too high. We were promised 15 years ago by David Cameron that migration would come down to, quote, the tens of thousands. The fact that it's now running at almost 250,000 a year is a massive reduction, and that we're supposed to be happy about that. I mean, it's progress, but it's not much progress. What are the reasons that we have people migrating into the country? Well, in some cases, it might be because a British person has fallen in love and they should be able to bring their spouse in. As someone who's proudly married to an American, I'm glad that we have that route. What other reasons are there? Well, you want to take people who are really high quality, high-skilled, and who have something major to contribute, particularly unique skills that we don't have here, or they can add an extra kind of flavor and spice to things, but will do so in the law and love our country and adapt and all the rest of it. And then you do want to have maybe a small number of people who are the most vulnerable in the whole world, which as a rich country, we can take some of these people in as a kind of wonderful charitable act. And if you've got the money to do it, it seems like a vaguely nice thing to do. If you can take people who are very vulnerable, in which I would suggest would be young women and children, perhaps particularly those living in the worst and most poverty-stricken refugee camps in war-torn parts of the world. Instead, as you said, what we've got now is something like 100,000 asylum seekers alone have come into the country. These are 90-odd% of which adult men from mostly third world cultures, very, very, very different cultures to us. They have different views about how women should be treated, definitely very different views about how gay people should be treated. And I'm not sure that they're completely au fait with the concept of having 87 genders overall either. And these are the people that we're now seeing in huge numbers coming into the country, as we're seeing fewer talented people from abroad coming in, and as we're seeing huge numbers of young British people deciding, why on earth should I stick around anymore when I've got no hopes in this country, and they're leaving in record numbers as well. It's the worst of all possible worlds. It's completely mad, and it has to stop.
Yeah, it's a strange kind of mathematics we're watching at the moment. As hundreds of thousands of foreigners come in, many of them illegally. Brits, we're going to do this story later in the show, but Brits are leaving in their hundreds of thousands, many of them young. Over the past year, recent figures revealed that the exodus topped the 250,000 mark. And we are going to do the story a little later in the show, that it turns out that something like 110,000 of them were young people under the age of 30. They are looking at this country, this socialist hellhole, this dystopia, and saying there's no future for me here. Even if I do get a job, this government will tax me for about 40% of it. It's just, as I say, no hope, no optimism, no future. That's what they've done to this country. These people are a catastrophe. Let's get back, though, if we can, to the migrant crisis itself. France, are you excited, James, by this week's French agreement to enter the sea to stop the dinghies? They do this once a week. We're going to go in the sea. We're actually going to go out and get the dinghies. They say it all the time, but they never, ever do it. This is what we get for our £500 million that we gave to Monsieur Macron to patrol his northern beaches. We get a bunch of gendarmes smoking gaulois on the sand, watching the dinghies leave for Dover. But they do now say, 100%. Now, I know we've said it before, we're definitely going to do it this time. We're going to get out in the sea, we're going to intercept these dinghies, but only if there's no one in them. Are you excited by that?
What a great idea, right? It's absolutely astonishing, isn't it? The bit that really gets me on this is that Napoleon himself couldn't invade, Hitler couldn't invade, the Armada couldn't invade 500 years ago. The English Channel is one of the great things that we have that's helped us develop our wonderful and unique culture over well over 1,000 years of this country. It's enabled us to protect ourselves against all kinds of invaders, and with much less good technology than we have today. And yet the fact that we've got these damn boats that we can't seem to stop, it's not either on the French side or the British side a lack of actual ability. It's not like these guys piloting these things are so sneaky that they manage to just break their way through. It is, let's say again and again, and probably the reason why the French are saying they won't intercept boats full of people, because the lawyers get involved, because the ECHR is involved, and both France and Britain are still signatories to this foreign court that has gone far beyond its original purposes, which is why we should leave it. But this is why it is that we can't deal with it either on our side or on the French side. I don't necessarily blame the kind of French police officers or anything themselves, because if they do try and stop it, are they going to be facing some kind of lawsuit? It seems that Keir Starmer wants to persecute British veterans of Northern Ireland and other places, and you're hearing stories now that armed police officers in Britain are standing down and putting down their guns because they don't think the state will back them. In fact, they think that people like Richard Hermer, Starmer's best mate and Britain's Attorney General to our shame, is rubbing his hands with glee going after these people. So if we're not going to enforce these kind of preventions of crossings, I'm not sure why we should expect that the French would when there's no incentive for them, because they're more than happy to see these people leave their shores.
And this is what they've agreed to do, the gendarmes, finally, after years. And trust me, they won't do this, because they've told us so many times we're going to get into the sea now. Because the system for a long time literally was this. This is what the migrants were told. Get yourself ankle deep in the channel. Get across the beach. Once you get ankle deep, the gendarmes will go no further. They will not get off the land, if you see what I mean, step beyond the sand. That's been the system hitherto. They have been pledging month after month. Yeah, we are now going to go out there and stop the boats. We're going to get into the sea. Well, they finally seem to be on the cusp of doing it. But they will only do it before the dinghies actually have any passengers in them. Well, you know, frankly, lay cops, don't bother. You know, there's no point in that.
No, well, and again, someone like Dominic Cummings, who may not be everybody's cup of tea, but he's been very interesting on this issue, because when he went into Downing Street, he got all the kind of leaders of the armed forces and all the rest of it together, and special forces, and said, right, what's going on here? How can we deal with this? And they said, well, again, it's the lawyers' fault. But if it wasn't for the lawyers, it would be pitifully easy to deal with these gangs, because you send around information to them all saying, if you continue this, that we will either capture or kill you. And you can do that in conjunction with French special forces, who are themselves, you know, some pretty impressive guys by and large. And then because these criminals are mostly just in it to make money, they will stop it, because they're not like they're ideologically driven. Unlike the mad lawyers and charities on our side, they're not ideologically driven to have as many, you know, foreign fighting age men coming into Britain as possible. They're just in it to make a quick buck. So if you say to them, if you continue this, then the SAS and the French equivalent will take you out one way or another, it would stop. But as I say again, the lawyers have told the Prime Minister and all the rest, you can't do that. That would be against international law. And so what do you have to do instead? You have to allow infinity numbers of fighting age men to come into the country and be put up on the taxpayers' dime.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then
I can't believe how many times we have to keep saying this, and how many times it keeps happening. If one boat came for the first time today, we'd be up in arms about it. But because we've had more than twice as many people who've crossed over than there are regular members of the British Army, we just think it must be normal now.
This addiction to human rights and the ECHR on the part of Hermer, Starmer, all those lawyers, far too many lawyers in politics, if you ask me. This addiction to human rights on their part, or the legal framework of human rights, is cretinous. It is cretinous. Let's go to break. I want to talk about Rachel Reeves's contention that there was a black hole when there wasn't. But before we do that, we've got one more asylum seeker story to talk about. Some asylum seekers earmarked for the one in, one out scheme to be deported from Britain have gone on hunger strike to protest their removal. My thought about that was, and we'll talk about that after the break.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with former government special advisor, a kindred spirit to be sure, James Price. James, some asylum seekers, 30 of them, due to be removed. Well, they were due to be removed yesterday. They went on, as of Monday, they went on a hunger strike, and they were protesting because they're part of the one in, one out scheme. You know, that brilliant deterrent that isn't deterring a single soul from coming across the channel. Basically, they've got on a hunger strike to protest their deportation, and I'm thinking, well, you know, so you'll be a bit hungry then, won't you? Well, why would we care about that?
Place for when they get moved back to France and its wonderful cooking, because this is where they're going to be sent back to. France, a NATO country, a perfectly civilized place. Some would say the most civilized place in the world. I've enjoyed, you know, probably far too many nice bottles of French wine and French meals and all the rest of it. This is just a completely absurd idea. I mean, I don't think that the policy is a good idea in the first place, because the idea of one in, one out, even if completely successful, still gets you a fat reduction of 0 people, because you're taking someone in for every person that you send out again. And of course, we know that 2 people who are sent back have already come back into Britain through the revolving door, which is in fact ludicrous. Some of the people that we've sent to France, by the way, are people who are Indian nationals, and we have a proper extradition policy with India, and the people we've taken in return are those from more difficult countries with whom we don't have that kind of agreement. So it's a stupid policy anyway. It's a complete distraction from what we were talking about before, the need to use proper force and the need to sort out our legal constraints. But the idea that these people are coming in and saying, oh, it's so unfair the way we're being treated, the idea, it's akin to someone breaking into your flat or your house and saying, nothing actually in the fridge. It's just so unfair. Why isn't there any food for me? Because these people have entered the country illegally, and now they're complaining about the way they're being treated.
Yeah, as you say, it's like somebody breaks into your house, you come in, you find them sitting in the living room, you try to kick them out. What do you mean I've got to leave your house? I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's like the tiger who came to tea, isn't it? They're going to drink all the water in the tap and everything.
Exactly. Just a quick quote from one of them. I mean, you know, my view on this is, go on hunger strike, don't go on hunger strike. I really don't care. But anyway, one hunger striker told, of course, The Guardian, I am exhausted by this situation and I find it deeply unjust and unfair. I arrived on a boat with 83 other people and only 12 of us were moved to a detention centre. And it goes on to say, I repeatedly approached the office here to ask for answers and waited for hours every day, but I was never given any information. Each time I was sent back to my room, feeling hopeless, I decided to join the others in starting a hunger strike. Just shut up. I mean, entitlement doesn't even begin to cover it, does it?
This is exactly the same quote that I pulled out, and I think I tweeted about this just before I came on this show. This guy is feeling exhausted and think it's so unfair. Yeah. How much do you think the rest of us think about it, who are paying for that food that you're now not going to eat? It's just absolutely insane. And by the way, lest anybody think that we're being cruel and unkind and all the rest of it, these people who have broken into this country and taking up all the resources, whether they're in hotels or the processing and the rest of it, that means there are some more poor, weak, starving children who are in actual, real desperate need in refugee camps around the world, who are young enough that we could actually help them. We could actually integrate them into our far superior culture in Britain of, treating people equally and treating them with respect and not throwing gay people off cliffs the way they do in some countries and so on. There are people who we now can't and won't help because we're babysitting these idiots, right? It is not compassionate to let these people break into the country and then put them up forever and put up with these silly games. The compassionate thing to do would be to detain and deport these people ASAP so that we have the resources and the compassionate bandwidth to help the people who are genuinely needing our help in the world.
Absolutely, and an underreported facet of Rachel Reeves's budget speech, that awful speech the other day, where she slipped in proving the lack of ambition of this government when it comes to the migrant crisis, that last year, apparently 23-24, the last sort of documented year, if you like, accommodating asylum seekers cost £4 to £5 billion. She has budgeted over the next 10 years, £15 billion to carry on accommodating asylum seekers. Make of that what you will. What it actually means is this government has no plans whatsoever to solve this crisis. It only has plans to facilitate its continuation, which is an absolute disaster. Let's move on to Rachel Reeves. In fact, on that point that we were discussing earlier, that she lied to Brits, long-suffering Brits, about it's suddenly become a £21 billion black hole. I seem to remember it was a £22 billion black hole when she came in. She said, well, the thing is, I've got to come up with the budget from hell. This was last October, the £40 billion tax grab, because the Tories left a £22 billion black hole in their finances. Well, soon after that, about 2-3 months afterwards, the Financial Times, they dug and they dug and they dug, and they reported, we can't find any evidence that this alleged black hole in our finances exists. And now it has been confirmed by the OBR, as I understand it, that in fact it never did exist. So all of her policies are based on a lie, to be honest with you. But now, due to that budget from hell last October, the biggest tax grab in modern history, the second biggest tax grab in modern history was just now on Wednesday. This is her track record. Due to that, she has caused, never mind her pretend £22 billion black hole, she has caused a very real £40 billion black hole in our finances. This is a real one, and that's why she's having to tax us to hell to try to fill it.
It's just absolutely extraordinary, mate. I mean, I can't get into her head as much as I may not want to actually be in there, but to try to understand why it is that they've gone about this. The country really does face some very significant challenges. There were challenges that were pre-existing, the Labour Party, that my party, the Tories, didn't do enough on. There were challenges that we did quite a lot on, and I think it's unfair. Some of the criticism they get, the amount of money that was spent on COVID was way too much, but there's been a big cause of it, and lots of other countries are in that problem as well, for example. So there's that problem there. There's the problem of a lack of growth, which this budget did nothing for. There's the problem of our kind of demographic aging that is a problem that has not been addressed here, nothing to help parents out or anything like that. There is the massive problem that no one wants to talk about of our debt, and the massive problem that no one wants to talk about of the increasingly dangerous world. And if, God forbid, in a couple of years' time, China decides to try and invade Taiwan, the Russians try and have a poke at a NATO country, perhaps at the same time, and Iran kicks off as well, we are going to wish that we didn't spend all of this ridiculous money on the asylum seekers we talked about before, and on these huge tax-raising budgets that's crushing growth, and not an extra penny of it for example, defence, or paying down that debt for when real crises come. Instead, Labour would rather create crises of their own to try and bribe some of the people who are viewing this show right now can see on their screen, in the form of backbench Labour MPs who are so unbelievably financially illiterate. They don't know anything about gilt yields or debt interest. Those are people who are working in the government. Yep. And some of them said a few months ago, when Labour did try one teeny tiny welfare saving, it's just a few £billion. I don't get what all the problem is about. That is the kind of level economic illiteracy we've got running the country, and any wonder why so many people are headed for the exit door.
Exactly right. These left-wing Labour backbenchers who now run the country, Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves, are just their puppets on a string.
Yeah.
They are old-school socialists like Jeremy Corbyn. They believe that the magic money tree, that mother government will always have money for everything. And they're wrong. We are cruising for a bruising. We really, really are. We will. There will be a reckoning with this nonsense before too long. James, well, I've got to wish you a very happy weekend, as much as you'll be able to have a happy weekend. But
it's sort of depressing, everyone.
It sort of is, but... great to talk to you. Thanks so much for your time. Brilliant. James Price there, former government special advisor. When we come back, we're going to talk about Donald Trump, who has reacted to that shocking shooting in Washington by an Afghani migrant with great force. He has ordered the crackdown on all migration, every migrant in the country, particularly Afghani migrants, and he's ordered it now. This is the crackdown of all crackdowns. By the way, just FYI, we have 70,000 Afghani migrants living in this country, 35,000 or so of them waiting for asylum seeker application results, the decisions, and the other half, 35,000 or so, were secreted into the country under the Afghan resettlement scheme that we weren't allowed to know about. Remember that? The government taking out an injunction to keep the electorate in the dark about their hopeless incompetence. It's a disgrace, folks. We need a Donald Trump to sort this out, but we haven't got one. We got Keir Starmer. Excuse me while I take some cyanide. Let's go to break. Back in a mo.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, look, After the shocking shooting a couple of nights ago, a couple of days ago in Washington time, in Washington, D.C., two National Guard soldiers gunned down in broad daylight on the streets just yards from the White House. One of them, a 20-year-old girl, Sarah Bertramp, I think her name was, and she has sadly died. We've learned this overnight. Died with her father holding her hands, 20 years old. Well, it emerged after that shooting that the crazy gunman was an Afghani migrant, a man allowed into the country along with lots of other Afghanis, like we let them into Britain, because he allegedly collaborated with the CIA and US Special Forces in Afghanistan. So he was let in to America, allowed to live there under Joe Biden's Operation Allies Welcome scheme. Donald Trump is furious. Let's go over to Washington, D.C., where our old friend, chairman of the Republican Overseas UK, Greg Swenson, is waiting. Hello, Greg.
Great to see you, Kevin.
Yeah, where have you been all my life? I haven't spoken to you for ages. Good to have you on the show. Before we start, let's have a quick look at just a portion of Donald Trump's response to this tragedy.
Blame all Afghans for this one man?
No, but we've had a lot of problems with Afghans because they had a lot of them coming in on these planes. There was no check-in. They just poured into the plane. And many of these people are criminals. Many of these people are people that shouldn't be here.
And he's gone on, Greg, to say that there will now be an official crackdown, that every Afghani will be checked out. As he said, if they're not of any benefit to this country, they'll be out. And he actually wants all foreign migrants now to be vetted. Because he's furious about what's happened. He's furious with Joe Biden for Operation Allies Welcome, which allowed thousands of Afghanis into the country. As I just said before you came on, we had a similar scheme called the Afghan Resettlement Scheme. These are Afghanis who claimed to be collaborators, people who helped the Americans and the British during the Afghan war. It's well known that lots of them are just grifters. They did no such thing. We got 70,000 here. But your thoughts on what happened in the city you're in now and Donald Trump's reaction?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think the president's reaction is, has a lot of merit to it, right? Because we've known that there was a complete lack of vetting with this program. And then, of course, at the same time, you had the parallel insanity of what completely open borders, which the Democrats and Biden did quite deliberately. So, they wanted to have 10 million plus illegal migrants come into the country. And at the same time, this was quite natural for them to have an open door with the Afghan resettlement plan. And that doesn't suggest for a minute that the president or I or anybody else in the party would not want to accommodate people in Afghanistan who helped us during the war. Whether you were for the war or not, we have that responsibility and that obligation. But it was completely unvetted. And of course, the disastrous pullout of Afghanistan, that complete debacle, surely didn't help in terms of having the time to properly vet people. So, yeah, I think, the president's saying all the right things. He'll do the right things. I wish we could say the same for the problem in the UK. I don't anticipate that happening for at least until 2029. So, but I think the problems in both countries are similar.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, we've got around about 35,000 Afghanis in the country who were secreted into the country, into Britain, under what was called the Operation Afghan Resettlement. And we didn't check these people out properly. We've got another 35,000 who are awaiting decisions on their asylum applications, who I guarantee you we won't know much about. Most of them will be allowed to stay. So that's 70,000. Again, these people all arrived in the chaos of that evacuation. So both countries, both of our, I love America, I love Britain, but both, in this instance, both of our stupid countries just opened their borders and said, we don't really care much about you, but if you say you helped us in the war, you just come on in. And we just saw what one of them thought about America. Apparently, there are reports that he was shouting Allah Akbar as he opened fire and shot down those two poor National Guard soldiers, one of whom was Sarah Beckstrom, 20 years old, who died in hospital with her father holding her hand. That is a tragedy that both countries ought to be ashamed of.
It's so sad, and at least in this country, the president has put a stop to open borders and mass migration or mass illegal migration. So good for him. But yeah, the shooting happened only a block from where I am right now at my hotel in D.C. And real tragedy, obviously. And if there's anything that wouldn't inspire, a political leader to step into overdrive, to perhaps even overcorrect because of what happened. I mean, what else could possibly encourage that? And so, and we saw this with Laken Riley, the nursing student killed by an illegal migrant at the University of Georgia in the middle of the day, going for a run in the afternoon. This is the kind of stuff that, that the person who killed Laken Riley was an illegal migrant, but also had been arrested in a sanctuary city in New York. So, of course, he was released and not prosecuted. And then he probably had government bus fare to travel down to another sanctuary city in Athens, Georgia. So, look, these things, they happen. I'm not suggesting, we should deport every Afghan immigrant, but we should surely vet every Afghan.
Yeah, exactly right, Greg. Same here. Exactly right. It's not asking too much, is it? If you're going to, same for Britain, same for America, if you're going to allow foreigners to live here possibly for the rest of their lives, it's not unreasonable to suggest that we should know something about them, particularly if they're coming from a country like Afghanistan. Afghanistan is the country that is supplying this country probably with more migrants than anywhere else, and it's the country we should be the most careful about. Same for the States. I mean, one of Trump's, he posted this on Truth Social the other day. He said he's going to end all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens. We have, as you will know, Greg, we have a massive welfare bill. Currently stands at about £320 billion a year. It's going to go up to £420 billion a year. Absolutely massive. A considerable amount of that goes to migrants. People come here, don't work, we start giving them benefits. So Trump saying, if you're a foreigner, you don't get our welfare, not a bad idea.
I think it's fair enough. Look, I mean, there should be a safety net, but a safety net isn't a massive welfare state. And of course, in the U.S., it's not nearly as bad as the U.K. and the rest of Western Europe. But I do think it's completely unfair to the people who live in this country who actually need the benefits, having that kind of safety net. So now you're making it a great incentive to migrate to this country, legally or not, because you'll be on benefits. This guy who was getting the electric chair, I don't see that there's any other outcome here because it's now a federal crime. He killed a U.S. service member. So my guess is his wife and 5 children at age 29 will be on benefits. And I think the president's right to put just a common sense revolution here.
Yeah, his name is Ramanullah Lakamwal, and 29, as you say, and came in 2021, September, as part of that evacuation. And so many like him came in as well. So that is food for thought, to say the least. Can I ask you a sort of off-piste question? You probably won't be able to answer, but I'm fascinated by this. We got the pictures of him after, he shot these 2 poor guardsmen. The other one, by the way, is very critical. It's touch and go whether he will survive. So it could be a double murder. He's severely injured because, of course, the National Guard returned fire, but he's still hanging on in there. Now, we got pictures of him being put into the ambulance. And let me tell you, he's been enjoying American food while he's been living in the States. He's not wasting away. But got any idea why he was stark naked?
So I don't have any, direct information, Kevin, but my guess is either he was rather casually dressed, as an understatement. I said the guy who robbed my next door neighbor in Chicago, was caught on security cam with no shirt, 3 a.m, no shirt. By the way, 18 prior felony convictions and out.
Yeah, that goes without saying. Yeah.
Thank you, George Soros. But I do think that there is a chance that they stripped him because you want
to check for weapons. That was my feeling, to just make sure there's no more guns on him. I assume that's what it is.
Yeah.
Just a kind of very strange picture. Greg, great to catch up with you again. Thank you so much for your time. Let's talk again soon. That's Greg Swenson, chairman of the Republican Overseas UK organisation here in London, but he's in God's own country. He's in DC. He was just yards from where this tragedy unfolded. Let's go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about an extraordinary drag queen show for kids that parents are saying must be cancelled. We'll talk about that next.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
I've got nothing against drag queens, you know, if grown adults enjoy being entertained by drag queens, if blokes want to dress up as these kind of caricatural women, yeah, fine, you know, knock yourself out. But we got this kind of growing obsession with drag queens. The BBC has got this sort of disturbing obsession with them. You know, you get them in the soap opera, you know, in the EastEnders and things like this. It's like, come on, you know, whole series, you know, the RuPaul's Drag Race and all this sort of. It's like, yeah, come on, there are other people on the face of the earth who aren't drag queens. Just a thought. We had drag queen story time. Remember that, where drag queens used to go and tell stories to young kids, school kids. It's like, why? You know, leave them alone. Anyway, this one defies belief. There is a Christmas theatre show for children, for young children coming up, to be hosted or starring a drag queen called Tanya Lecoq. That's C-O-Q, I should tell you. There, you're looking at it now. Now, this seems inappropriate to me for kids. The age guidance is 0 to 5. So 5-year-old kids, 4-year-old kids. This Tanya Lecoq entertaining. This is, I think it's grotesque. I really, really do. Parents, of course, are calling for it to be banned. It's on the Richmond Theatre on December the 19th. Let's talk to the director of the Women's Rights Network, Claire Lonergan. Welcome to the show, Claire. Do you share my disgust at this show?
I share the disgust at it being presented to 0 to 5-year-olds.
That's my point. I don't care about drag queens, but for children, called Tanya Lecoq?
Quite, and those names aren't, you know, they're not a coincidence. The names are chosen deliberately to be provocative, which is fine for an adult audience.
That's what I just said.
You know?
Yeah.
But for small children, no, it's completely inappropriate.
And it's part of a syndrome. I mean, thank God, in my view, the drag queen story time saga has ground to a halt. But for a couple of years, there are all these drag queens that schools used to hire and libraries used to hire to bring your children, and these drag queens will tell them stories. And I used to think, why? Why do these drag queens want to tell stories to little children? Why does Tanya Lecoq want to entertain little children? You know, you don't get plumbers or coppers saying, I want to tell stories to little children. You don't get plumbers saying, I want to do a stage show for little children. Why do you think drag queens are so obsessed with getting in touch and either telling stories or entertaining young children? What is that about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly the right question. What they're doing is they're normalising something that is not normal for our culture. It is not normal for our culture to have men who are normally adult entertainers dressed like some weird
caricature of a woman, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it's even worse than that. It's some sort of weird cross between, you know, a pornified Santa Claus and Snow White's wicked stepmother.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's more terrifying than merry, to be frank. Yeah. When you're 5 or under, until quite a bit older than that, actually, everything is new and wonderful and different. All of our normal cultural symbols, from scarecrows to Santa Claus and everything in between, is wonderful and different. And if you're presented with something like this, which, as I say, is a pornified version of who knows what, that is every bit as you know, wonderful and different as Father Christmas.
The children they'll be intrigued by it. And when you say it's a pornified version of what, I'll tell you what it's a pornified version of. It's the Christmas story. This is called the Drag Tales Christmas Edition. Drag Tales is the name of it. The Turning Point organisation, you know, the British arm of Charlie Kirk's set up. They said Drag Tale is a horrific perversion of the Christmas period, which should be about protecting children's innocence, not exposing them to horrifically inappropriate drag queen performances. So, as you and I agree, Claire, you know, I've been to a few drag queen shows myself. Very funny they can be. But for adults, what on earth are the theatre thinking of? This is how the theatre have built it. I mean, this is adults. This is how they build it. Festive magic with Drag Tales Christmas edition, starring the spectacular Tanya Lecoq. And then they say it's for children from the age of 0 to 5, 0 to 5. I mean, what are they thinking? What are they thinking?
Well, it's pushing queer theory onto the younger generation, isn't it? If you can normalise this at a very, very young age, then when children come across porn and it can be quite bad out there, they won't see that it isn't normal what they're being shown.
Yeah.
And therefore they won't be able to tell the difference between something that they should treat carefully and with detachment versus something that's completely safe. So all the safeguarding gets erased, all the normal cultural boundaries get erased, and the idea of what is normal, what's culturally appropriate, particularly for that age group, is just destroyed.
I'll tell you what I think, Claire. I think these drag queens are interested in sexualising these young children, and that should be banned. I mean, I'm not a banner. I don't like banning things, but sexualising young children should be banned. It should be against the law. Isn't that a thought?
I don't know how you would make it against the law, but I certainly think that we should bring back much better safeguarding. We shouldn't be putting very young children anywhere near someone whose day job is actually a night job in, essentially adult entertainment. It's just breaks down and blurs those boundaries between children and adults, and there's only one group of people who are interested in doing that.
Yeah, and it's all wrong. Listen, Claire, let's hope they succeed in getting this banned, this show. December the 19th, cancel it, Richmond Theatre. See sense, see the light. Don't let this show go on. Claire, thank you so much for your time. Good to talk to you. Claire Lonna Reagan there, Director of the Women's Rights Network. Let me know what you think. Next up, Stephen Barrett on Labour U-Turn. Stay tuned.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. This is the second hour of Drive Time. You're lumbered with me, Kevin O'Sullivan. Now, we'll be here all the way to 7 o'clock. And then it's my show. Except it's not my show. It's the Political Asylum presented by my brilliant producer, Samara Gill. I know she will have one hell of a show lined up for you from 7 until 9. And then it's my show, What Just Happened. You're getting way too much of me, aren't you? You lucky people. In a little while, we're going to talk about this worrying exodus of young people. So we know that over the last year or so, more than 250,000 people have left the country. And we're not just talking about millionaires and billionaires. Obviously, there's been the departure of very many wealthy people, wealth creators, because they're not going to stick around and be taxed, and moving to another country's easily affordable for them. But loads and loads of people who are just normal medium band wage earners, they're all leaving as well. But the most worrying element of this is something like 110,000 young people under the age of 30 have left, because they can see no hope, no prospects under this Labour government. This Labour government, folks, is destroying this country. That budget on Wednesday was a watershed. It was when we stopped being anything like a country of optimism, of aspiration, because there's no point in being aspiring, there's no point in being optimistic, because this Labour government just wants your money so they can chuck it into the welfare state. Anybody who's an entrepreneur, who's got a get-up-and-go spirit, Labour's crushing you. It's sticking its dirty, great socialist boot on you. And people are leaving, so we'll talk about that in a little while. Before we get to that, though, let's talk about, well, you know, what is Labour's hobby? You know, it's U-turns, isn't it? It's making a pledge and then U-turning on it. Now, they got 2 U-turns going on at the moment. One is about Angela Rayner's ludicrous workers' rights bill, you know, the one that will... she originally wanted to ban bosses from phoning or emailing their employees after 6 p.m. And it was pointed out to her, you know, some work, you know, not all jobs end at, they're not all 9 to 5, you know, Ange, you know, and also a lot of employees want to talk to their bosses in the evening, you know, it's not like Andy Capp. So she agreed to get rid of that clause, but she did not agree to get rid of the clause that you can be employed, take a job, for some reason you leave after 3 hours, then you can sue for unfair dismissal on day one. Full workers' rights on day one. Well, Keir Starmer's just saying, hang on, this isn't going to be workable. All the businesses are saying, come on, you can't do this to us. Keir Starmer said, yeah, I think you might be right there. So they're trying to rip up, or Keir Starmer is trying to rip up some of the tenets of Angela Rayner's mad workers' rights bill. And of course, it's triggered a massive, great rebellion by Ange and all the left-wing backbenchers. But the point is, we hope they lose. They won't. They'll win. But it's Keir Starmer U-turning. It's in the workers' rights bill was in the Labour manifesto. Keir Starmer said, oh, never mind that. We're going to go the other way. We're going to go. Never mind the manifesto. Also, suddenly David Lammy. I'm not sure if I don't think this was in the manifesto, was it? The abolition of juries, trial by juries. You know, the cornerstone of people's justice, of democracy. David Lammy, don't bother with that, you know, let's get rid of that, you know, then we can get through trials quicker. Well, he's been so stunned by the inevitable backlash. I mean, it's one of the very few issues where I agree with Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn's furious about this, so am I. Everybody all across the political spectrum is furious about David Lammy's disgusting proposal to get rid of trial by jury. He's been so stunned about this that he's going to stage, hopefully it looks like he's going to stage a U-turn. So let's talk to barrister and writer, political commentator Stephen Barrett about Labour's latest humiliating U-turns. They say something, don't they, this lot, Stephen? And the next day they say the opposite. Nothing they say you can trust for more than about 24 hours. This is turning into a kind of sick farce, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, if 10 years ago I'd gone on the telly and said that they are Fabian Marxists who are trying to create a socialist state without you noticing, people would have laughed at me and called me a conspiracy theorist or a loon. I hope now people can just see that this is what they are doing. And it's rather pathetic, Kev. It's not... There's a sort of glory to, or a dramatic glory to sort of actual communist revolutionaries who sort of, you know, are young, handsome men who take up arms against a corrupt state and wish to bring about paradise. And there's, I can see, I mean, I'm not a communist, but I can see that there's some sort of...
You don't say. I never realised.
These weak men, these pathetic Fabians who just try to do it all without you noticing. It's just like a protracted game of What's the Time, Mr. Wolf. And basically, as soon as the public turn around and notice them, they stop moving. I hope everybody remembers that game, and that hasn't yet passed out of memory. It's probably banned in primary schools because the Fabians don't want you to know that's what they do. But, you know, as soon as they get any pushback, they run away. Yeah. Lammy has not yet run far enough in the opposite direction. So what he's doing is a classic Fabian tactic. They paid a judge to give the judge's personal political opinion about whether or not we should scrap jury trials. All we have to do as a nation is go, that's absolutely great, Brian. Thank you for giving us your political opinion. We disagree. So the judge that was paid to recommend abolishing some jury trials recommended abolishing some jury trials. What a surprise. Lammy proposed abolishing even more. He's now got scared. He's going to run all the way back as fast as his little feet will carry him to that judge, and then he's going to hide there and say, well, the judge told me to do it, so I'm only going to ban the ones that the judge told me to do. You have to, members of the public, you really just have to keep pushing back and go, we don't care about the judge's political opinion. You know, judges are entitled to political opinions once they retire in particular, but they're no more binding than anybody else's political opinion, and we want jury trials. We're going to have to push him back to not abolishing any of them, and then I strongly recommend the public push back even further and demand magistrates' trials. Yeah,
well, Sir Brian Leveson you referred to there, he's the one who recommends to the government, or has handily recommended to the government, that what David Lammy wants is a really good idea. Sir Brian Leveson, you know, I've got my reservations about him, you know, because I'm in the media, you know what I'm saying? Yes, but here's the thing. Well, first of all, before I ask you about David Lammy and his U-turn, as a barrister, just try. It's a given that trial by jury is a crucial cornerstone to democracy, to the power of the people, justice of the people, by the people, to the people. Get rid of that and Britain, as we know it, literally disintegrates. You cannot do this. Just try to explain to us just how important trial by jury is.
So in the First World War, we got rid of it in the civil division, and it only still exists. We had it in defamation until we got rid of that very recently, but it only really exists in criminal law, where we've held the line and said, no, 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 you can't get rid of it. That means that criminal lawyers sometimes get a bit grabby about trial by jury, but it's a constitutional concept. It's not really a criminal law idea. It's part of our constitution. And we evolved it in England because from 1066 onwards, there was no justice, there was no law, we were utterly oppressed by a dominant, you know, marauding warlord class who would nick your stuff, steal your wife, and throw you in an oubliette if they felt like it. Then in 1166, we forced them to have some sort of vague justice procedure called trial. I actually can't remember what that one was. I think it's trial by ordeal. Anyway, it was rubbish. So by 1215, we go, this is still rubbish. You're still monstrous. We demand that we have trial by our peers. We demand we have trial by jury. And we've had that since 1215. It is the absolute protection against a tyrant. Now, in those days, the tyrant was the king, and his little mobster men were the judges. And they answered to him, and because they answered to him, nobody trusted them quite rightly. Nowadays, the judges, although they technically answer to the king, and they probably see him about once a year, I think he comes to the opening of the legal year, but he may not do, really they answer to the government. They are paid by the government. Their pensions are paid by the government. Yeah. They are trained by the government. They have to submit to government policy of DEI before they're even promoted. And they have government-based email addresses and government-based accounts. They are entirely agents of the government. That's fine in all sorts of circumstances, but the idea that you would let such a person, man or woman, decide whether or not you are guilty or not guilty, particularly somebody like you, Kev, or somebody like me, who the government may not particularly like.
Yeah, exactly.
This is just absolutely insane. And it's not just that. There are whole classes of people this government hates. And you simply shouldn't allow this to happen. I mean, even if, and this government will see themselves, they see, despite being rather pathetic, weak men, they see themselves as sort of messianic, wonderful people who are creating a paradise. The next government, we don't know who it's going to be composed of. So why should the next government be in charge of who gets convicted and who doesn't get convicted?
Yeah.
The government after that. The government after that. They are so foolish to do this that this is why we must kick back.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I've covered a lot of trials in my long and checkered career. And a lot of people say, public rule is stupid, so the jury's a bad idea. The juries, I mean, they make mistakes, but by and large, they're really impressive. You get 12 men and women, honest and true, and they invariably come to the right decision. And let me give you one very good example. In fact, 28 very good examples. When Keir Starmer was the Director of Public Prosecution, he decided to put a load of journalists in the dock to prosecute them for doing their job, for doing things like paying for information, which should be a right of the media. That's our commodity. We should be. Why shouldn't we be allowed to pay for information? Why should we not be able to deal with whistleblowers? Keir Starmer tried to stop all that. He put 28 journalists in the dock, and 28 juries acquitted every single one of them. That's why we need juries, because juries will stand up to what the establishment wants. And what the establishment wants, in my experience, increasingly is wrong, usually wrong. So that's why we need trial by jury. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely. And there are no shortage of stupid judges either. And there's two types of stupid I'd like to highlight. Lord Keith of Kinkell is probably the worst.
We're going to name names, are we?
Well, he's dead, but he's largely regarded. I mean, I'd be surprised if anybody actually would come on here and defend him. But certainly, in my personal opinion, he's the stupidest law lord we've ever had.
They can be very stupid, can't they?
There are some absolutely outrageous judgments where we've actually had to just basically hide them. There's one called Junior Books in Tort Law, where we basically just have to ignore the fact that it was the judge ever said it, because it doesn't work, and because it wasn't
not
appealed.
a precedent that will be of any use to anyone, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So there's that, but there's also simple naivety. I mean, at the moment, the Supreme Court has sent a Supreme Court justice, which is a law lord equivalent, over to Mauritius to give a political speech. Mauritius. I mean, why would you pick Mauritius when that's highly contentious with Chagos? It looks as though the Supreme Court is endorsing Chagos. Now, they're not, because they're just fools and they won't have thought it through. They're very naive. But that's another type of thing where you just don't want to give these people ultimate power. We give it to 12 men and women, good and true, our peers. Then you're not allowed to serve on it if you're a criminal. And there are very good reasons we used to have people not serving on it, and we used to have jury challenge, although we got rid of that. But ultimately, it is the best defence against tyranny. I really hated the outcome in the Bristol Statute case, and I had a very long discussion with a very close friend.
They do make mistakes,
Yeah, well, sometimes they do. And he just said to me, in the end, he said, Stephen, would you abolish jury trials? And I just said, no.
No, he said nothing is perfect, but trial by jury is very important. And the good news is that old thick as mince David Lammy has been stunned by the backlash. Oh, who knew that people might object to scrapping trial by jury? David Lammy never saw it coming. He's now considering one of Labour's traditional U-turns on it, and let's hope he goes through with that. So hopefully we'll be okay on that score. Let's talk, though, about the Workers' Rights Bill quickly, because Keir Starmer has seen sense and sort of thought, hang on, Big Ange, old Angela Rayner's workers' rights bill, is mad. It is an affront to business. It is an affront to industry. Nothing can work under this. We can't have employees turning up for 2 hours, leaving and then suing for wrongful dismissal. That's mad. Angela says, oh, no, we've got to have that. Now, Starmer's trying to stage a U-turn. I don't think he's going to get away with this because Angela's backbenchers will probably trump him yet again. But earlier, the Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, talked about this U-turn. Let's have a quick look.
The Employment Rights Bill represents the biggest upgrade to workers' rights in a generation. What we said in our manifesto was that we felt day one rights on a number of areas were important, but that we'd also consult with business, with trade unions and civil society on that. Those discussions have taken place, and it means on one area around unfair dismissal, rather than it being a 2-year wait, it'll be a 6-month wait. That means the bill can go forward, because the risk was if this discussion and agreement hadn't been reached, then the bill would have been held up further. It means because of the pragmatic approach that's been taken, from April next year, millions of your viewers will have better rights at work.
Well, it doesn't actually mean that, Stephen, because the left-wing backbenchers haven't had their say yet, and they will no doubt demand that unfair dismissal clause goes right back in. Keir Starmer isn't running the country. Those backbenchers are.
Yes. And I think I'm much more useful to your listeners and viewers if I stick with the legal points. So I don't really need to give up my opinion on this employment bill. Let's look at the constitutional points. The House of Lords did itself proud and it rejected the bill and pushed it back. That's the only reason they've really had to cave in. All this consultation stuff is complete nonsense. His backbenchers are now going to have a civil war with the House of Lords. That's entirely constitutionally right. Actually, because this government has remarkably low legitimacy, it received such a tiny share of the potential votes. It really is. It polls at ridiculous numbers now. The latest poll today says that there will be 6 Labour MPs after the next general election. So, I mean, it just has no legitimacy with the country. Yeah. My personal view is that constitutionally, anything that isn't in their manifesto should now go to a referendum. So things like mass state.
There's going to be a lot of referendums coming up then.
Well, this is what the coalition government had to do. Unless it felt it really had legitimacy on a policy, it had to use the referendum mechanism, and that is part of our constitution. The second point, which might sound odd, Kev, is that if they did make a manifesto pledge to this, and they did, then actually a low legitimacy government should keep that pledge. And they should try and have this fight with the House of Lords.
It's an interesting concept.
Backbenchers are right.
Interesting concept. So what you're saying then is, when a political party like the Labour Party produce a manifesto on which they run their campaign, a series of pledges that they promise to bring into action once they've been elected. So you're making the preposterous suggestion that they stick to those promises. Well, that's just outrageous. Labour will never go along with that. I'm being facetious. It is ridiculous how many promises they have reneged on, how many manifesto pledges they have ignored, how many new measures they've come up with that weren't in the manifesto. Unbelievable. They're just sort of a ship adrift doing exactly what they want. The only problem with them is we've got to put up with them until probably 2029, but they are so gone after that. I think what's going to happen to the Labour Party is what happened to the Tory Party. 14 years of betrayal of the people, 14 years of lies. The Tories are unlikely ever to recover. And after this, Starmer's absolute debacle of a government, I doubt if Labour will ever recover either.
Yeah, and this government governs because 9.6 million people voted for them. It's all well and good to point out constitutionally 40 million other people didn't vote for them, but their only legitimacy derives from those voters, those 9.6 million voters. Those voters voted on the basis of the manifesto. So for Keir Starmer to betray the manifesto yet again, because it's not the first one, this budget is a betrayal of the manifesto. He's betraying those 9.6 million voters. So what legitimacy does he have? You know, how can he claim to legitimately govern? At some point, by the way, if he carries on governing in an illegitimate way, people will get so very angry that I imagine the king will be forced to dissolve Parliament. And that, again, is part of our constitution. It's not something that happens often, and that's because we don't often have governments that are this just staggeringly incompetent and disliked.
They are intergalactically incompetent. They are so useless. And, you know, you can laugh about it, but they are destroying this country. It's getting really, really worrying. It seriously is. It's going to be a reckoning soon, I think. Stephen, fantastic to talk to you. Have a great weekend. We'll talk next week. Stephen Barrett there, barrister, writer, social commentator, political commentator. Next up, we're going to talk about this worrying exodus of young workers. More and more, 110,000 young people have fled the country, joined this mass exodus of people getting out of Starmer's broken Britain. That next, stick around.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It's time now to talk about this extremely concerning exodus of the young. Something like 110,000 young people have fled Labour's broken Britain, high-tax broken Britain, over the past year. People aged 16 to 34, 110 of them emigrated in the year up to March. That's according, this is official stuff, that's according to the Office for National Statistics. So we know there's been a massive exodus as it was. I remember reporting not so long ago on something like 250,000 leaving the country, where it turns out that 2/3 of them are young. They're under the age of 34, 16 to 34. These are people I contend, you know, they just see no hope. They see no future. They think, even those who do manage to get a job, because it's tough for kids to get jobs now, they go, hang on a second, so I've got this job and now this government wants 40% of the money I earn in tax. It just doesn't work. They just see a bleak future here. This is arguably the most worrying thing about what this awful, awful socialist government is doing to this country, that people are just leaving. Young people don't want to be here. It is a country that young people don't want to live in, and there's nothing worse you can say about a country. Let's talk to a spokesperson at the Taxpayers Alliance, Shimian Lee. Welcome to the show, Shimian.
Thank you for having me.
As I was just saying, I don't think there's anything more depressing you can say about a country than it is suffering a massive exodus of its young people. People from the age of 16 to 34 leaving in their droves, 110,000 over the last year and rising. This is what Starmer and his crew have done to this country. They've turned it into a place that young people don't want to live in, because they're the people who have to think about their future. They see no future, they see no hope. It's terrible, isn't it?
Well, you're right that, you know, young people are leaving in droves, and who can really blame them, right? This government seems like it's specifically trying to make, you know, the lives of younger people harder, raising the minimum wage, you know, in that case, is about 5 more years of frozen tax thresholds that disproportionately affect young people. And if they do find success in their job against those odds, they will just become an even bigger target for the Chancellor, with more and more people being dragged into paying the higher rate of tax. So young people will be looking at all of this, including the recent budget, and be thinking, why should I stay here in this country when there are so much better opportunities abroad? Now, that's hugely damaging for the country, but I think it's perfectly understandable from the perspective of young people.
Exactly right. And as you say, ostensibly, I mean, Labour made great play. Look, we're going to put up the minimum wage. That's going to be really, really good for young people. We're especially going to put it up for people 16 to 18-year-olds and 18 to 21-year-olds, and the people in the... We're especially going to raise the minimum wage for those people. Aren't we great? We're good to young people. Well, what that adds up to, Shimian, as you well know, is employers go, hang on, so I've now got to pay a lot more to employ young people. I'll tell you what I'll do. I won't employ young people. So raising the minimum wage ostensibly sounds like a sort of a good thing, but in fact, it closes a lot of opportunity doors for young people.
Well, you're right that raising the minimum wage is essentially raising the price of labor, of young people in particular, because they will not have that much experience. And so in comparison, a more experienced worker is going to look cheaper to businesses from that perspective. And of course, businesses themselves are already being hammered by all the other tax rises in the budget, including an increase in business rates. And that's going to make it even more difficult for them to hire and train young people, which is so important for the economy.
And, I mean, you know, the situation was bad enough. We're talking about an exodus before this awful budget speech on Wednesday. But how much worse do you think this latest budget from hell by Rachel from Accounts has made this situation?
Well, I think with the recent budget, I think anyone with talent or ambition that's looking at that budget is going to be thinking, should I be leaving? Because the system that we've set up essentially is punishing ambition and rewarding entitlement, right? What we saw from the budget was a massive tax rise in order to pay for a massive increase in benefits. So what happens is people who save responsibly, who put money into their pensions, are being forced to pay for the benefits of people who have more children than they can afford. That's something that's fundamentally unfair and unsustainable, and people with talent and ambition will recognize that. And once again, the tax burden has reached a record high, post-war record high, on the backs of working people. And there's only so far that you can push people, I think, before they finally say that's enough and they leave. Britain is one of only 2 countries that's set to lose millionaires by 2028 of all the countries in the world. I don't think the fiasco of the budget is really going to convince them to stay.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been talking about the wealth drain, that billionaires and millionaires, wealth makers, have been leaving the country. For them, it tends to be not the greatest big deal because they got a load of money, they can take it elsewhere, buy a mansion in Spain or wherever the hell, and Bob's your uncle. But for other people, it's quite a momentous and expensive operation to leave. I've done it myself, to leave the country and go to another, but they're doing it because there are no prospects here. There are no prospects. They look abroad, they look at Dubai, they look at the taxes you get in other countries, the low taxes. Why would they stay? I think that this budget on Wednesday was a watershed moment. It's when we stopped any national pretense that we're anything other than a socialist state in which the private sector, working people in the private sector and businesses are just there to fuel a grotesquely huge bloated welfare system. That's it, isn't it, from now on?
I think it's important to note that it was a choice by the Chancellor to raise taxes to pay for benefit spending. So I think the OBR has come out and said that there wasn't this massive black hole that needed to be filled because of high inflation. Tax receipts were actually up. And I think the Chancellor was about £6 billion in surplus, in fact. So she didn't have to do this. She chose to do this. She chose to raise taxes by about £26 billion. And, the country is going to feel the effects of that. And just on the point of young people specifically, I think it's important to remember that losing young people in particular is a big loss, because that's when they're the most economically productive, right? So if someone leaves the country at the age of 22, for example, we're losing about decades of taxes and national insurance contributions, as well as economic activity. Now imagine that multiplied by about 100,000 people net leaving the country every year. That's a disaster for the economy.
It really is. Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing, what we're witnessing is Britain's future leaving the country. Our future is getting on an aeroplane and flying to Dubai or Australia or America. Well, our future is this generation of young workers. They're really important to an economy, to a culture, to our nation generally. And they're leaving. And that, Shimin, is a tragedy. Really good to talk to you. Thank you very much for your time. That's Shimin Lee, spokesperson for the Taxpayers Alliance. Let me know what you think about that, the exodus of the young. That is arguably one of the worst things that's happening right now. Where is our future if we don't have any young people? I mean, these are talented people who are going to get jobs. They're going to become wealth makers. These are the talent. This is the talent of tomorrow. And their talent won't be serving this nation tomorrow. It will be serving another nation because of Starmer. Catastrophe, folks. Let's go to break, take a few calls when we come back. Stick around.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Time for you to take the floor. Let's take some calls, shall we? First of all, let's go to St Helens and talk to Terry. Hi, Terry.
Oh, hi, Kev. Lovely to speak to you. Listen, my son is mid-air now, leaving the country.
Is
He's
he?
had enough. Yeah, he's had enough. He's worked in London. Very talented. He's had enough. He's going, and I don't blame him.
How old is your son, Terry?
He's 31.
31. And what does he do for a job? What does he?
He's done a degree in graphic design,
right.
But he builds all the sets for the film industry and all those things.
So he just feels there's no future. He feels this government
there isn't.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. Where's he going to go, Terry? Where's he going to go?
He's going to Thailand, and he's going to the party island over there where he's got friends that work remotely.
Okay.
But the main thing, Kev, is that's just an aside.
Yeah.
But I've got the solution to the migrant crisis, which
go on then. We need one, so fire away.
I know, but I'm sure I've got it.
Go on.
And this is what it is, right? 200% tariffs on French goods until they stop those boats. And then if they don't stop the boats, it's 300% tariff.
Terry, it's a nice try, but no cigar, because it doesn't matter what you do to the French, they're not going to stop the migrants. They're just the idea that I'll tell you where there will be no solution to the migrant crisis. Just the very notion that we can come to an arrangement with the French, whatever it is, it won't work.
Okay, Kev.
So that's my fear. I know where you're coming from, but forget.
No, let me say something further, Kev.
Go on then.
This is it. We have the power to boycott French goods. We don't buy French cars. We don't buy French food. We don't go on French holidays. We don't use the Eurostar. We don't use the Channel. And I'll tell you, Macron will be on his knees.
Yeah, but what makes you think they can stop? What makes you think they can stop the migrants? Even if they go, oh my God, we better start stopping them. They'll still get around them.
Money.
No. But what are they going to do? Put 1 million coppers on the North French beaches?
No,
exactly. So they're not going to be able to stop them.
What I'm saying is. No,
it's not the French. I'll tell you how you do it, Terry. This is how you do it. Never mind the French. You send the message to migrants. You can get on your dinghies if you like. You come over here. Once you come here, you've broken our laws. We will deport you. You will not get £50 a week benefits. We will not put you in a 4-star hotel. We will not give you free doctors. We will not give you free dentists. We will not give you free lawyers. You'll get nothing. You'll get deported. If they know that they're not going to be accepted into this country, they won't come. Doing a deal with the French, forget it.
I absolutely agree, Kev.
There you go. We've reached harmony.
No, we have.
Terry, listen, mate, I've got to move on. Good call, though. Good to talk. Terry in St Helens. Let's go to Karen in Bournemouth. Hello, Karen.
Hi, Kevin. How you doing?
I'm all right. Rachel Reeves.
Yeah, she.
Oh.
That's the Batty Border Collie that makes lots of sense.
Yeah, okay.
Rachel Reeves is telling another fib, because it's not going to just cost 15 billion to us. It's going to cost 15 billion plus roughly 20%, because the people that are getting all these rises from the family, the child benefit.
You mean, I mean, that's the new weird or annoying element of our asylum seeker crisis, is these people come over here and then we start bunging them loads and loads of benefits, so they cost lots more than just accommodating them.
Well, it's not only that, it's the fact that They're making all this money and they're not paying any tax on it.
Well, exactly. And also bear this in mind. Over the 23-24, that year, we spent £4 to £5 billion on accommodating asylum seekers. In her budget speech, Rachel Reeves budgeted for 15 billion over the next 10 years. Think about that. So in 1 year, 5 billion. She says we're going to spend 15 in 10. I think that's an optimistic budgeting by her. You're quite right, Karen. They're going to cost a lot more. Yeah, I agree with you, Karen.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you. Regards to your dog, Karen in Bournemouth. And very quickly, let's talk to Jill in Cornwall. Hello, Jill.
How are you, Kevin?
I'm all right, yeah. What do you want to talk about? Young people, or the lack thereof?
Well, I know that chap you were talking to, that young chap, he's obviously incredibly intelligent and sensible. I agreed with a lot of what he said. I really did. But Rachel Reeves, she has no idea what she's doing. She's just mess-arsing around and driving us into the ground. I'm sorry, but I am so fed up with the fact that people that I know who have worked hard, paid their taxes, and now are cutting corners to just stay within the realms of sane, are struggling. They're struggling. And yet she's prepared to give more money to people to not work, to have more children. There was a time where you had the amount of children that you could afford to look after. But now I'm paying for it. You're paying for it. Everyone else, everyone that is working is paying to help people produce more children and stay on the social benefit scheme. I'm not saying all of them are like it, but there is a huge amount of people that now have decided they're not going to work anymore. And when you hear 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds saying, no, they're never going to get a job, they don't want a job. They will find a way to get their money without having to work. When you hear that sort of thing, I'm sorry, but Labour needs...
Look. This budget, the last budget, you know, the worst budget in British history was last October. The second worst budget in British history came on Wednesday. So she's got a double record there. We now have apparently the highest tax burden on the people of this country for 300 years. Think about that. And there is no hope, no future, no optimism. This Labour lot are killing everything. If people, when they go to work, face the grim prospect, like I do, of paying 40% tax or more, 40% of the money they earn goes to the government. You know, for me, I'm too old and ugly to do much about it now. But if I was younger, if I was in my 20s or even 30s, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. And that's what's happening. And when you lose your young people, you lose people who are going to contribute to the economy, who are going to buy houses, going to keep the whole country ticking over. You lose them, you lose everything. It is a crime what this government is doing to this country.
Yes.
It is a crime.
You can't tell her that she's breaking the rules, because what does she do? Burst into tears.
Into tears and then blames everyone else and says it's all down to misogyny. It's pathetic.
Exactly.
It's pathetic. It's pathetic.
It really is. It really is. And I'm despair when I think of what this country has sunk to in 12 months.
Yeah.
In 12 months, this is where we are. And
well, it's 16 months they've been in power, and it's been 16 months of catastrophic chaos. It's a disaster, Jill. Jill, always good to talk to you. Thank you so much for an excellent call. Jill in Cornwall. Let's go to break now. When we come back, change of pace, I guess. We're going to talk about Meghan. She's on Instagram again. Goes on Instagram about every 10 seconds. This one is a gushing Thanksgiving message, which we will analyse in the excellent company of royal biographer Angela Levin. Stay tuned for that.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Time now to talk about Meghan, and a warm welcome to the show's royal biographer, Angela Levin. Hi, Angela.
Hello, nice to see you.
Always a pleasure. Could she just shut up, do you think, for a second? I mean, every single second she's on Instagram, she's sending messages. I loved the message, was it last week or earlier this week? Oh, something big is coming. So she sent this email to all the customers of Azet, something big is coming. Go, oh, it's exciting. What is it? Turns out to be a 20% reduction offer on all the goods on As Ever. So now you can buy your $28 pot of honey for $22. Wow, don't get killed in the rush. I mean, for God's sake. Anyway, her latest gushing message, this is yet another email to As Ever customers. It's for Thanksgiving. A very happy Thanksgiving from my family to yours. I am so grateful for your support and warmth as we've grown As Ever throughout the year, and the way in which you've invited this collection to be a part of your home, and so on and so forth. From the jam you layer, listen to this. From the jam, you know, you buy a pot. When you buy a pot of jam, you don't invite it to be a part of your home. Why doesn't she speak English? From the jam you layer onto your morning toast or slather onto PB&J for your kids' lunchboxes, the honey you stir into your tea, the candle you light to welcome the day or to close it out with a cosy bath, the bottle of bubbles you pop to some, the wine you sip. Oh, shut up. What is she talking about?
Well, it's two things, I think. One is that she can't bear not to be in the spotlight. So whatever she says, she goes along that line. The other one is to do her pretend to be lovely personality. You know, we have lots now. She's sometimes extremely unpleasant, but this is so that people remember her. But she says a lot of ridiculous, over-the-top things that makes nonsense. There's one that's not very nice. She says, playing a small role in your memories is not lost on me. That could be quite dangerous because I mean, you have to do what she likes, don't you? Yeah. And if you haven't liked her enough, but where's her family? This is talking about Harry and the two kids. You know, she doesn't really have one, but her mother's around, but her father's not in it. Harry's family's not in it whatsoever. So it's she talks sort of nonsense, doesn't she?
It's English as a second language. I mean, if I go out and buy a bottle of wine, I don't sort of come back with it and say to my wife, look, I've invited into our house this bottle of wine. This isn't even English, because I am privileged that As Ever gets a seat at the table with you and the ones you love. No.
Yeah, well, she says As Ever means the world to me, so that this programme that's a failure is worth the world to her. But you can't love an As Ever, can you? What is an as ever.
Let me tell you, Angela, I think this is, in the words of George Michael, as ever's last Christmas. Talking of Christmas, let's have a quick look at the promo for the holiday special of her Netflix cooking dirge with Love, Meghan. Let's have a quick look at it. Oh, have we got any sound on this? Have we got sound? Okay. Yeah, okay, we're going to come back with some sound, hopefully.
But have you seen her do her turkeys? She doesn't seem to go and wash her hands. She comes back and she rubs them.
Yeah. Well, yes. So she put out a video about quickly. Of course, we all need to know how to season a turkey, don't we?
But she puts it on a table where everything's done. You don't do that. Her long hair, if she leans over, is absolutely nearly going to touch it.
Well, it's worse than that. I mean, the food fans all complain because actually she did wash her hands. You think, oh, that's good, but she left her jewellery on. Now, the jewellery is a bacteria-packed hygiene no-no. We've got that video ready now, so let's have a quick look at the Christmas promo.
I love the holiday season. It's about finding time to connect with the people we love.
Yeah.
Embracing traditions.
I like this.
There we go. And making new ones.
We are now in Christmas. It's pretty jolly here. Let's go craft. Heyo. It's so pretty.
Just so easy and elegant.
It's better the next day and everything turns red.
It's so festive.
Being a hostess or a host,
it's about making people feel comfortable.
You can... Oh, shut up. And she goes on later in that promo, Angela. She's wearing that green dress. Yes. The $1,700 Galvan dress that it turns out she took away from a photo shoot for Variety magazine in 2022, 3 years ago, didn't pay for it. So, that's the Christmas spirit, isn't it?
Yeah. Can I just tell you what she did with poor Harry?
Yeah.
Standing there eating, it seemed like cereal, but you don't know, it could have been fruit salad or something. And she got him round the neck and pulled him towards her so he would kiss her at that time. You have to watch it carefully.
Really? That's interesting. So she physically forced him.
Kind and lovely. Maybe he didn't want it. Maybe he wanted to finish his cornflakes. But she wasn't going to allow that. It's got to be what Meghan wants. And all this rubbish that she talks to people, which nobody can actually believe, is all rubbish. Yeah. She's got to have what she wants. She's got to prove to them that she's the most famous woman in the world, that she's a wonderful cook, and it's just very disturbing.
It is a bit disturbing. Narcissism doesn't even begin to cover it. Did you see you will have seen the Harper's Bazaar interview last week, where she starts going, Harry loves me so much. He loves me more than anybody in the world. His love for me is bold. His love for me is absolutely fantastic. She goes on and on and on. There is not a word about her love for him. I don't think there's room in her narcissistic life for love for anyone else apart from herself.
That's right. Let me tell you something funny, though, that she wanted to be announced before she went in to talk to somebody, and they called her name with her title.
Oh, yeah.
Before she went in, right? Yeah. Now, that's what she wants to happen now, but she's so silly not to check. She doesn't check things. It's the other way round. You don't get your name first.
It's the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan, should it be? Yeah?
No, it's just that your guest is given the name first. Here is John, and here can I introduce you to her? Yeah. And it's in a book, the Debrett's New Guide to Etiquette and Modern Manners. So she's made a mess of that because she now looks ridiculously wrong.
It was just ridiculous anyway. I mean, who the hell does she... This is a cable show.
There was one other person in the room.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely bizarre, Angela. Angela, I've got to go to the news, but it's fantastic to talk to you as always. Angela Levin, their royal biographer, about the latest nonsense on Planet Meghan. She is a sight to see. She's extraordinary, isn't she? When we come back, we're going to talk about a fireman who got fired for using the word fireman. Apparently, that breaks the woke law. That next. Stay tuned. Back after the news.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. This is the final hour of Drive Time right here on Friday. The weekend almost starts here. Don't forget, 7 o'clock, my producer, or fellow presenter, if you like, Samara Gill, will be at the helm of the political asylum. She'll take you through from 7 until 9 sort of thing, because then it is my TV show, What Just Happened. Brilliant. Can't recommend it enough. That goes on until 10 o'clock. Very radio friendly if you're not watching on YouTube, so you can watch it or listen to it, so hope you enjoy that. Then at 10 o'clock, I guess it's Ash Gould. Is it Pete Barnes and Ash Gould tonight? Because last night it was the Gould brothers. It was Johnny and Ash. Tonight, Pete Barnes and Ash. Where's Andre Walker? He's in Marrakesh. Of course he is. Yeah, he's in Marrakesh. What's wrong with why? Everyone's always in great places on holiday except for me. What's wrong with my life? How long you got? Right. Let's get on with this final hour. In a little while, we're going to talk about a Black Friday. It is Black Friday today. I was trying to find out why it's called Black Friday. I thought, oh, this will be interesting. It's really boring. Do you know what it is? It's that, like, shops are this time of year allegedly are in the red. So if they put a load of items on sale and they sell a lot of stuff, they go into the black. So it's Black Friday. That's boring, isn't it? Well, let's try and make the rest of this hour not quite as dull as that. And it won't be because of my first guest. We need to talk about a fireman, a fire chief who was sacked for allowing his staff to use the word fireman instead of firefighter or fireperson, or whatever the woke version of fireman is. Every person in the country says fireman. OK, of course there are female firefighters. But, you know, is it the crime of the century to use the word fireman? It's ridiculous, isn't it? This poor guy did get the sack. He's appealed against that. In 24 years, I think, he was the chief of Avon Fire and Rescue Service. I'll show you a little video to prove what they're like in just a little while. He's just appealed against it. He's had his appeal denied, turned down, because it has been decided that his dismissal for calling firefighters firemen was justified. Let's talk to the senior fellow at the New Culture Forum, Philip Kisley. Wasn't justified at all, was it, Philip?
No, the world has gone absolutely stark raving mad. And let's bear in mind, he wasn't actually using the word fireman. It was somebody else that was using the word fireman, and he didn't have a meltdown about it. So he's had to go. A woman doesn't like other people using the word man. So this very experienced, what did you say, 24 years?
27-year veteran
27 years,
of the Avon. He was the fire chief there, you know.
It was the fire chief, and he's had to go because he's using the word man. And I was just wondering where this goes, Kev. What happens? You know, you're a fireman. You go up to a blazing building. There's someone there, and they say, "Oh no, sorry, man, no, wrong pronouns. I'll burn. Leave it, forget it." And then you go back down. This is the kind of stupidity that we're dealing with.
So this is why he got disciplined and sacked. Was his colleague Sasha Atchison complained about the behaviour of her peers in 2021. She's a former England women's rugby player, but she claims she was belittled and targeted by her superiors, including Mr. Bailey, who was watch manager at her station. She talked about persistent sexual, derogatory and offensive comments, and openly and over-sexist and discriminatory workplace environment. Well, in essence, as far as we can work out, it was that Simon Bailey, you know, a member of the human race, basically could see no real problem in just talking about firemen, even though there are fire ladies or fire women, or, you know, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Now, I'm going to give you a little idea of what the notoriously woke Avon Fire and Rescue Service are like. Here's a video that they made about a year ago. You're going to enjoy this. Have a look.
Fire service.
Very important. Are you ready for Pride?
I'm ready for Pride. I'm in.
Hello?
Hello, it's Control. Are you ready for Pride?
I'll be there.
For those, you see what I mean? It goes on and on like that. For the people listening on the radio who would have just heard music and people going, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in. This was the Avon Fire and Rescue Service being celebrating Pride Week in Bristol. So they're going, I'm in, and they're all painting rainbow faces. They got a rainbow flag hanging out of the fire engine and so on and so forth. This was shortly after Avon Fire and Rescue Service had been ruled to be an underperforming service. Now, my feeling about what we just saw, I mean, when you see that, you think, now we understand why Simon Bailey got fired for using the word fireman, because he's in Woke Central. Now, my feeling about that is, why are they wasting, the fire service is paid for by taxpayers' money. Why are they wasting our money making that stupid video? Why don't you go out and put some fires out? How about that? How about that? You know, in all of this, oh, you shouldn't say fireman. Oh, you know, this was an offensive and a sexist environment. In all of this, I'm thinking, these are people who should be putting fires out, should be saving lives. What is going on here, Philip?
Well, I mean, I look at this and I think, you know, we deserve the Russians just to get us, you know, or the Chinese just to get us. We don't deserve to carry on. We don't deserve to carry on as a society looking at that. But I look at that, Kev, and what happens, right? If you work for that fire service, Avon Fire Service, and you don't subscribe to all this gender nonsense, right? What happens then? Right? What happens if you say to those people, actually, no, I think I'm gender critical. I think a man is a man and a woman is a woman, and I don't want to have anything to do with this stuff. You're going to be ostracized. Your views are not going to be respected. You are going to be, in other words, they're going to do exactly the same to you that they're suggesting that this guy is doing to these other people, because that is a very, actually, if you think about it, it's actually quite an intimidating environment, isn't it? Because you're going to be bullied if you don't play along with all that nonsense. I mean, for the people who are listening, there are idiots with dance.
It's still going on. You've seen this. Look at them with their flags on.
Flags all over the place. So this is cultish behaviour, and what they should be doing is concentrating on saving lives. And all they're interested in is this ghastly, crazy ideology, which is abusive. Basically, if you are working in that environment and you don't agree with it, how the hell do you stand up to that? I honestly don't know how you would do that. And I know this, Kev, because I've worked in an environment. I worked for 25 years in universities. If you don't go along with that stuff, you have to keep your head down, you have to keep quiet, or else you're going to get bullied, or else you're going to get sidelined. Your career is going to go down the toilet. It's actually quite a really serious issue, this, because this is our rescue service captured by fantasy nonsense, and that is a dangerous situation.
And you know, I'm all for gay pride, I'm all for gay rights and all that, but you know, this has got no real place in a fire station. This is ridiculous. This is our taxpayers' money. They're making this stupid video. Now, Ms. Atchison, Sasha Atchison, she said that the term fireman was used frequently by her co-workers. And she said there was she talked about sex harassment, victimization and harassment as well. She complained about harassment on the grounds of her sexual orientation. She happens to be gay. She ended up receiving a payout of £52,000. And Simon Bailey was stunned at first. He said, "Oh, this has got to be a joke." But it wasn't. And he ended up taking time off work for sick leave after 27 years, resigned from his role as watch manager in 2023 and launched an unfair dismissal case, claiming constructive dismissal. He's just lost that case. I think that for using the term fireman and allowing other people to use the term fireman being dismissed is just a sign of these increasingly insane times.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, this is not really about being gay, straight, or otherwise. This is ideological, pure and simple. Okay, this is gender ideology. So I've got lots of gay friends, and they all hate this stuff. So that's that. It is political. So we've just lost a guy there who's got lots of experience, who is, you know, a big strapping fella. He's the kind of person you want rescuing you from a burning building, and now his career, I wonder what's happened to him. I mean, if he had to go on leave, he must have suffered from depression, anxiety, all the rest of it. The point is, isn't it, with people like that, they don't care if people like him suffer from anxiety and depression because he's the wrong kind of person, you know. So he's probably gone through hell. His career has gone into the toilet. All the stuff that I said before, just because you don't go along with this stuff. And it isn't that he's actively stood against it, as far as I can tell. It's just that he's not stood up and said, "Oh my God, you know, I'm a true believer. I will enforce this stuff and I will make everybody go along with all the jargon, rewriting of the language, mauling the language and all of that kind of thing." All he's done is just not gone along with it, basically. That's all.
Yeah, you know, to at the risk of probably, you know, being attacked by the woke brigade, he's just a normal bloke. It's a normal person. Everybody calls them firemen. Get used to it. It's just, you know, ridiculous. Let's quickly move on and go back to the budget and one of the proposals in the budget, which of course is the mansion tax. Anybody who owns a home over the value of £2 million is going to be hit by a pretty heavy portion of Rachel Reeves's taxes. Anyway, they're going to apparently use aerial photography, satellites, to spy on homeowners for Labour's property tax raise. They're going to sort of fly over, taking pictures to make sure that everybody who might have a house that the government thinks could be worth £2 million gets hit by Rachel's tax. It's Orwellian, that, isn't it?
Well, it's casing the joint to rob people, isn't it? That's essentially what they're doing. They're casing the joint, and we're going to take all your money off you. Give us your money, you know, you rich scumbag. That's essentially what they're going to be saying. This is terrible stuff because it's surveillance as well. You know, I bet they're actually, you know, looking at what people are doing, what people are wearing, how much they're worth. You know, we are looking at the end of the era when governments are doing this kind of desperate stuff to kind of make cash grabs and control people. Then it's really, really frightening, because we are going to get, Kev, our own little winter of discontent at this rate. It seems as though this government is taking us right back to the 1970s, you know, when it was tax and spend, tax and spend, tax and spend. And that's what you get with Labour governments. That's what they're for, you know. Just a point very, very quickly. We're going to get civil disobedience, and then we're going to get civil unrest. As sure as night follows day, you know, that's my prediction over the next few months, because they keep grabbing money off us. The cultural stuff is one thing, but taking money is another.
Yeah, they just look around. You know, old Rachel steps out of her front door and goes, Now, what else can I tax? Lampposts. Oh, waste paper bins. You know, that's what it's like. Now, the thing about this, though, is, you know, so people go, oh, damn, my house is worth more than £2 million. It's worth £3 million. Now, a lot of people are probably going to go, well, actually, my house is worth £1.8 million, so I don't think I'm going to qualify for this. So this is the government saying, well, hey. We're going to take aerial photography. We're going to take satellite pictures of areas from the roof, and we're going to go through and we're going to say, oh, look, that one's got a swimming pool. That must be worth more than £2 million. As I say, this is sinister. This is government surveillance. This is crushing the liberty of the people, I would suggest. This is an invasion of privacy on an industrial scale. Got to be stopped.
This is Big Brother stuff, and this is a desperate government, desperate on two levels. One, it's desperate to control people, and two, it's desperate for money. But it's targeting the kind of money. I'm assuming, actually, if you live in a house that's worth £2 million, you've probably got a bob or two. Now, you're precisely the kind of person who will have the freedom to actually up and go if the government is costing you too much money. And that is what's happening up across the board, Kev. People are saying, well, I don't want to live here anymore because I'm being robbed. Now, Keir Starmer is saying, well, we want people to contribute. This isn't contributing, okay? I want to contribute, but I only want to contribute to a society that, one, that is working, and two, that is working for me, not working against me. At the moment, we have a society that is working against everybody. So I don't want to contribute any more than I actually absolutely have to. And the people who are living in 2 million plus houses, they're just going to say, no, I'm going to go away. Again, it's reliving the 1970s because that's what happened. Anybody who could leave did leave. Yeah. And then, look, we were in a right mess.
Yeah, and the department, the government department that is going to do this aerial surveillance is called the Orwellian. This is an Orwellian, the Valuation Office Agency.
It's terrifying.
The VOA. They're going to fly. If you think your house is worth, shall we say, 1.8 million or 1.9 million, the government is going to fly over your house, take a picture, and it will undoubtless decide otherwise. 1.9 million, we say 2.1 million. We got a picture we took.
Yeah.
Get out of our lives. This is a disgrace. It really is. Philip, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. The great Philip Kisley there, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum. Next up, socialism, Labour people, they're true socialists. This one in particular, he's a Labour councillor. He's an absolute true socialist. He's in trouble because he parked his £200,000 Lamborghini in a disabled parking bay. That's socialism. That's Labour. No hypocrisy there, is there? We'll talk about that after the break. Stay tuned.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now, this is socialism for you, folks. There's a Labour councillor in Hounslow near Heathrow Airport. He has been caught parking his £208,000 Lamborghini SUV four-wheeler. 208,000. I mean, it doesn't sound very socialist for a start, does it? It's a bright blue thing. He's been caught parking it in a. This is even less socialist. Twice in a disabled bay. Not once, twice. He's been fined 160 quid, and he's going to donate that same amount to a charity. His name is Farhan Rahman. He's had to step down from his role as chairman of the council's Licensing and General Purposes Committee, but will remain a Labour representative in the Hounslow Council, and he'll continue to be a candidate for Hounslow Labour at the 2026 elections. I mean, why? You can't do that. First of all, I mean, I suppose Labour council's got the right to be rich, but it doesn't seem very Labourish, does it, to be driving around in a £208,000 four-wheeler Lamborghini, and it doesn't seem even. It seems even less socialist to keep parking in a disabled bay and being caught. Let's talk to another councillor. He's Conservative councillor in Hatch End and political commentator Matthew Goodwin Freeman. Welcome to the show, Matthew. Not exactly brilliant socialism, this, is it?
Well, I mean, they are taking disabled spaces from the needy and giving it to the rich. Clearly, I mean, this is just ridiculous. The idea that he parks his Lamborghini in a disabled bay, not once, but twice, then gets a slap on the wrist. He doesn't even get the fine that a resident would get because the car park was owned by Hounslow Council. And he says, oh, no, what I'll do is I'll pay one of the Worth's fines to the mayor's charity. Well, sorry, mate, you parked there twice. You should at least be paying the fine twice to the mayor's charity.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It just stinks of hypocrisy. Firstly, where the heck, what salary is this guy on as a councillor? Because I know, being on a councillor, you don't get enough for a Lamborghini. I mean, I drive a Honda Jazz. I'd love a Lamborghini.
I bet you don't park it in. I bet you don't park it in disabled bays either.
No, funnily enough, I don't. No.
One assumes that Mr. Raymond has other forms of income because he, as a result of stepping down from the Licensing and General Purposes Committee, he will lose his £9,423 top-up to his annual councillor allowance, which is £12,730. So he was on quite comfortably over £20,000 a year. Working, being a councillor. He's lost 9,000 or so of it, but I think Labour should kick him out. It's better for legal reasons. Tell you what the Labour Party spokesman said. It was this: the Hounslow Labour Group considers the actions taken by Councillor Farhan Rahman to be unacceptable. You don't say. Councillor Raymond, Councillor Raymond has acknowledged this without qualification. Big guy, well done. And has taken a series of steps to address his conduct. The Hounslow Labour Group expects the highest standards from all elected members. Councillor Raymond has accepted full responsibility and acted promptly in response to this incident. Now, if Hounslow Labour Group really expects the highest standards from all elected members, they should be kicking him out, shouldn't they?
Well, the thing is, it's saying one thing and then doing the other. I mean, to try and be a bit fair, people don't lose their jobs for parking, you know, getting parking fines or parking in disabled bays. So, you know, I wouldn't really want to live in a world where you park on a double yellow line, for example, and then suddenly you lose your job. But it does speak of a bit of hypocrisy where this guy's supposed to be an elected councillor, supposed to represent the community, and then breaks the council's own rules. You know, you'd think that councillors would be completely above board and follow every letter of the book. But, you know, I do feel sorry for the guy. He has lost, as you said there, £9,424 top up. So I've gone on Facebook Marketplace to have a little look. I have found a wonderful Lamborghini Euro. It's got wonderful mileage. It's got LED lights. It's £120. It's one of the kids' ones that maybe you could get. So I'll put an offer in for him and get in touch and see if maybe that. Oh, well, the problem is because it's electric, it's probably going to have to pay the pay per mile now as well.
Yeah, well, if it's electric, he'll be paying Rachel. He's a member of the Labour Party. He'll be paying Rachel Reeves 3p a mile. I was working that out. I think I got this right. So if you get in your electric car, which, of course, successive governments, particularly Labour, you can buy electric cars, you save the planet. No, don't drive those awful petrol cars. They're going to kill us all. They now say, yeah, buy an electric car and we're going to charge you 3p a mile. So if you go on a 300-mile journey up north or something, 90 quid. It's going to cost you 90 quid to drive somewhere.
It all adds up. I mean, it's Labour's DNA, you know. They say tax the rich and give to the poor, but then they increase just the cost of living for everyone. I mean, what are they going to tax next? You know, Union Jacks. God,
you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And by the way, that's a repulsive image you've got on your chest there. A national flag. You know, we don't like them.
No,
we don't like them.
Where's the other one? I've got another one here on the radiator. I've got a whole cupboard of them. So I'll probably get raided next week.
Yeah, you will get arrested for crimes against patriotism. Listen, Matthew, really, really good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. That's Matthew Goodwin-Freeman talking a lot of sense about this Labour councillor with a £200,000 plus Lamborghini, kept parking twice, got caught parking it in a disabled bay because he's from Hounslow Council, and Hounslow Council own that parking lot, that parking area, that I think it was a multi-storey car park. He doesn't have to pay a fine. Well, that's wrong for a kick-off. And he's generously agreed to pay one of the fines to a charity. He should, at the very least, he should pay both the fines, and maybe a lot more, and should be kicked out of the Labour Party, if you ask me. But there you go. Big thanks to Matthew there. When we come back, it's Black Friday. I got a bit beaten up this morning. I was in the rush, you know, trying to buy things in shops and all that. We're going to talk to the excellent consumer expert, former BBC man, Adrian Mills. Used to be on That's Life, I do believe. We're going to talk about what Black Friday's all about, maybe some of the best offers. But really, I want to know what is it really about. I always find sales to be a bit annoying. But we'll talk to Adrian about that next, so stick around.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, it's Black Friday. I've been in a state of high excitement all day. I'm sure you have too. Actually, a lot of people do get very worked up. It's an American idea. Of course, with all commercial American ideas, it soon zooms across the channel or the Atlantic, and here it is in Britain. It's taking quite a hold. Just looking through some of the bargains, I've got to admit they are quite good. And apparently Black Friday is because this time of year, just before the Christmas rush really starts getting going, shops and retail companies suffer a kind of a dearth. So this was always a bad period for them. So someone came up with the idea of doing huge sales, as in Black Friday, which would take the stores out of the red and into the black. Hence Black Friday. Let's talk to consumer expert and broadcaster Adrian Mills. Adrian, do you get excited by Black Friday?
Can't you tell? Red in the cheeks, the blood pumping through the veins. My wife, ironically, has just come in the last 20 minutes carrying half a dozen bags going, oh, there's some incredible bargains out there. And I go, what? And I always say to people, hang on, you think you're saving 20%, look at it the other way. You're actually spending 80%. It's madness because come January, all these things are going to be on sale again.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think you're going to get a great bargain, but trust me, no, you're not. They may have marked that price a few months ago at that for a day or two, but all the time, you've got to think they're shifting stock. They want to bring in new stock for the spring, the summer next year. They need to get rid of things. Now, that's not to say that there aren't bargains. And the true meaning, if you don't mind me saying so, is it's supposedly the day after Thanksgiving. And this is supposed to be the start of your Christmas shopping spree.
So as it goes then, Adrian, I'm dreaming of a black Christmas. That doesn't work, does it?
No. I don't think you're going to get it.
Yeah,
Well,
probably in trouble now for racism, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But, there are websites. I mean, I always think if you have a look at, a lot of people have got, Voucher and Living Social on their phones. And that's not to say, I mean, I've been downloading stuff. I've got my list here with sort of holidays. You've got holidays, you've got cheaper flights, you've got meals for two, you've got spa visits where there is a discount and they're offering you an extra 5 or 10%. And if you want it, then buy it. Don't hang back. But the problem with all of those is you've got to remember that the dates are quite restrictive. You may want to go the third week of January. Oh, well, you can only go on a Friday in March. And you go, oh, right, OK, why did I buy this? But there are one or two very good bargains. And the best bargains, I always think,
go on.
are
What are the best? Yeah, I've got a list of electrical bargains here in front of me that my top team have looked up.
Well, I tell you now, sorry, Kevin,
47%. Go on, sorry.
No, I mean, I'm wearing some very expensive little earbuds to hear you. And
mine too. They cost £5. Go on.
Well, then, those are the bargains.
If that. Yeah,
well, if you go onto Amazon, there are, so I won't name the company, but there are some earbuds on there for like 40-odd quid, which are normally about 85 quid. Yeah. They're a bargain. So you will find them, but also you've got to beware as well. This is the time of email scams. This is the time where you're being sucked in because you think, oh, that looks a bargain. I got caught out 2 years ago by buying a pair of shoes. In fact, I bought 2 pairs and my wife likes the company. So she said, oh, I'll have those as well. We sent off. About a month later, after lots of letters of complaint, I got a pair of £5 plastic sunglasses from China. So honestly, you've got to be buyer beware.
Yeah, well, if you got conned, then it really does mean you have to be careful. So what you're saying, Adrian, is, I think we all knew. This is a ploy by retail businesses at a time of year when they've traditionally not done that well. But what you're saying, I mean, I'm looking at some electrical goods, 47% off Apple AirPods, 20% off the iPad Mini. You get some very good deals. You've got 60% off the Dyson robot vacuum, 55% off another Dyson vacuum. So some significant looking bargains.
Yes.
But you're saying do your research before you leap, right?
Oh, without question. And also ask yourself, do I really need this? Don't get sucked into the fact of it's a bargain, because we've all been there. I've got a whole wardrobe of shirts and jumpers and trousers upstairs. I thought, they're a bargain, I'll buy those. Have I worn them? Have I, Egg? And ironically, my local charity shop is now more expensive than the local men's retailers.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. It's the duty-free syndrome, isn't it? People on aeroplanes who buy sort of boatloads of, cheap booze, cheap aftershave and all that. Look at all the money I saved. No. You just bought 10 things that you wouldn't have bought. You've actually spent a lot of money that you wouldn't normally have spent. So you haven't got any bargains at all, really.
Yeah, and two things about duty-free airports and things. I really think if you check out with some of the retailers and then compare them to the airports, you would be better off buying them in a high street retailer. Don't be fooled by some of those prices in the airports. And also, the government have really sort of messed it up. I don't know, I think it might have been the Conservatives before Labour, I don't know. But by reducing in the high end of the market, the Chanel, the Hermes bags and that, which used to bring lots of tourists in because they would buy and claim the VAT back, well, the government have put a stop to that because you're not allowed to claim it back. So all those people that are spending a lot of money are going abroad now. They're going to France, they're going to Italy. They're not necessarily coming into the UK. So yet again, we lose revenue.
Absolutely. So, overarchingly then, Adrian, have you spotted anything that in Black Friday that we should look out for? Is there anything in particular you could recommend people to have a look at?
Yeah, there's a ham roll in my local delicatessen that I had a quid off it, and I thought that was a bargain. No, the truth of the matter is, and I genuinely mean this, I would always go to the major department stores because if there's a slight problem, you will be able to go back. And may I just say something? One piece of advice, 1,000,000 times, buy it on a credit card. Not because I want you to build up debt over the Christmas period, but if it's round about the £100 mark, if there's something wrong and it's a con, say you bought it online, you will always get your money back. You won't get your money back if you buy it with a debit card.
Good point. Adrian, thank you very much. Happy Black Friday. Good to talk to you. That's Adrian Mills, the excellent consumer expert and broadcaster. Used to be on That's Life. Good guy. Basically saying, just be careful. Just be careful. I mean, buy what you like, but if you think you're getting a bargain, you quite often, if you research it, you're probably not. It's just a ploy. People love the idea of saving money on products. They even, I used to work on newspapers, and if you just say, we're going to give you a free box of matches, people go, free? They'll rush to it. We used to give away, I used to work on The Sun in the 1980s. I used to work on The Sun, and we used to give away a free can of lager, and I used to think, big deal. You used to rocket the sales of the newspapers. If something is free, people are there. If people think they're saving money, they are there. It works every single time. Now, that's it for Black Friday. It's going to be Black Saturday tomorrow. I'm going to be vacating this seat in just over 15 minutes and handing over the reins to the brilliant Samara Gill for the political asylum tonight. But in the meantime, we're going to break now. And when we come back, the rest of the show is down to you. The floor is open. We're going to take your calls. 0344 499 1000. I'll see if we've got any WhatsApp voice notes. And also, I'll try to read out a couple of messages. So quite a bit still to come. Stick around.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Calls in a minute. A couple of messages. This is from Brad. I don't blame young people for leaving this doomed country. I went to live in Denmark when I was 21, but moved back for family reasons 10 years ago. For the past 5 years, I have bitterly regretted that return. Brad in Cambridge. I bet he's really bitterly regretting it right now. What else we got? On the subject of judges and the jury, wait until general AI is doing it all. That's from David. Yeah, we're going to get AI trial by AI. It will happen. You trust me. It'll probably be Keir Starmer's next great idea. David Lammy will think it's fantastic. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Ashley in London. Hello, Ashley.
Hi, Kevin. Evening. I was listening to Rachel Reeves unfortunately before on a programme, and I thought and it angered me so much I thought I had to quickly call you. But she was being asked about where this money's coming from and how much to invest, and she was going on about the gambling industry, right, and how much she's going to take for them. And I wanted to just say, I mean, I can't say exactly who, but it's my daughter works and my son in the industry for a very, very large organisation, and to their surprise, I suppose not surprise, literally the next morning they had an email through with an apology from the company, but saying that they weren't expecting such a hit or as high, and they are now having to make provision for alternative arrangements in regards to their where they're operating from, and that they pride themselves on safe gambling, and this is going to take people into black market gambling because they won't be able to sustain the level of compliance.
What's going to happen to your daughter? Works in the gaming industry. What's going to happen to her?
The exact wording were the company is resilient, however, can't take all of the risk, and that unfortunately is going to turn into mass redundancies.
Yes. So is your daughter in danger of losing her job, or will she lose her job?
They haven't said this yet.
But they've been put on notice that this could be a possibility. Right. It's a disaster what they've done. Actually, it's a disaster. Do you know what? You know what I hate about it? I mean, they've exempted horse racing betting, but everything else is going to get taxed. Now, that first of all, that's going to make it far more expensive for what for most people is just an innocent type of enjoyment. Labour, they think that when they think people drinking in a pub, they think about alcoholics in the gutter. When they see people gambling, putting a flutter on the football or something, they think, oh, a gambling addict's going to ruin their life. They are killjoys. They don't understand that. But putting tax on all of these bets, all of this gambling, it's going to price it out of the market for people, and it's going to put the gambling industry, people who work in it like your daughter, into big trouble. They may lose their jobs. This is a disaster. It's horrible.
Yeah, the thing is that what the point they're making is that it's going to push people to a black market. The type of people they want to help they're going to push to the black market.
Which will mean much less trade for them. Your daughter, I hope it doesn't happen, but your daughter maybe loses her job.
Well, she might be losing the job, and also the fact is the amount of money that's raised from this. They're just moving over. I don't know, where's it, Gibraltar or one of these other tax companies. They're going to send them over there, and we won't take in the tax receipts for what we get.
Exactly.
At the moment.
It's just one area where these taxes are just putting it's a killjoy tax, and it's a terrible tax. It's going to have a terrible effect on a perfectly decent and honest industry. It's not right. Ashley, I've got to move on though, and thank you for an excellent call. Regards to your daughter. Let's talk to Alan, a new caller in Scotland, like Ayr in Scotland. Hello, Alan.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi. What would you like to say?
It's regarding immigration. All right. People have to realise, where these people come from and what they've had. All right. So they have nothing. They've came from nothing. All right. As far as they're concerned, the streets of London are paved with gold. Our benefit system is the best in Europe.
Of course, this is the land of plenty. This is the promised land.
It is. So the only thing we can do to stop them coming, all right, is to take away these benefits.
Exactly right. Take away it all. Don't give them any legal aid. Don't give them benefits. Don't give them free doctors. Don't give them free hotels. Tell them if you come here, you don't get anything.
Give them 3 meals a day, all right, and accommodation.
I'm not sure I go that far.
And it can be anywhere, all right.
Well, but I mean,
4 or 5-star hotels.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the accommodation thing. I think we should just start saying you broke our laws to get here. You're not staying.
Yeah,
Simple as that. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
Once we start offering them accommodation,
send them back.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Alan. It's crazy. They talk about deterrence. All we offer migrants is enticements, encouragements to come. It's the maddest country on earth for that, and you're absolutely right. Good first call, Alan. Don't make it your last call. Thanks for calling. That's Alan in Ayr in Scotland. Last call to Tony in Lancashire. Hello, Tony.
Hi, Kevin, you okay?
I'm all right, mate. What would you like to say?
Yeah, a couple of things. First one is with regards to the brain drain. I mean, my daughter and her partner both got degrees. She's a young police officer. She's doing fantastic in her job. He's a software guy. He's had promotions and all that.
Yeah.
They're already talking about leaving. And I used to have loads of arguments as why they shouldn't do it. And I have got nothing.
You've got nothing left. No. The point about your kids, Tony, is this: they're successful kids, well educated. They've got great jobs. They're going up the ladder, so they're starting to earn good money. And because they're earning good money, Labour are coming for them. They're going to take 40%, nearly half of all the money they earn. Why should they stay in this country? Seriously.
Absolutely. Labour are not the party of the working man. They are the party of the scum class now. It's the scum that they look after.
Well, let's put it this way: hard workers are being taxed to pay for people who don't work. I'm going to use a slightly politer way of putting it than you, but you see what I mean. We work to pay for people who don't work, and that is all wrong.
Yeah, in my job, what I do, I travel up and down the country every day. I deliver prestige cars, and then I catch public transport back. So I see a different town, a different city every day.
Yeah.
You want to see the state of the country. It's upsetting when you see these towns that you've been to in the past.
Yeah, the northern towns. I mean, yeah. I was in a place called Wallsend not so long ago near Newcastle. Lovely people. And all that, but boy, oh boy, it was like depression incarnate. It really was, and that's just one town. This Labour government is killing this country, in my view. Tony, my best to your kids. Thank you for a good call. Got to go. The show's nearly over. Thank you, Tony in Lancashire. Shall I read one more message? What we got here? This is Ian. He says, if each case requires about jury trial by jury, if each case requires 3 judges, how will that speed things up? As per judge, they'll get through less cases, fewer cases. Well, I don't know. I mean, I just think the whole idea of scrapping juries, trial by jury, is an affront. It's an affront to everything Britain stands for. It cannot happen. David Lammy, stunned that people object to his great plan, so stunned that it looks like, hopefully, he's going to stage a U-turn. He better. In the studio, it's Samara Gill. Hi, Samara.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. I haven't seen you for, what, hours?
I know, it's
2
been
hours.
a really long time. Yeah.
Just before this show.
I spent more time with Kev than any of my family members at this workplace.
Exactly.
God. Yeah, look, on the show tonight, we've got a crazy ram-packed show. I've got Will Kingston, who you also just saw a couple hours ago.
Another one of Australia. Got any English people on, or are they all Australian?
No, it's the invasion show, mate. Yeah, welcome. Speaking of migrants...
It's the political asylum tonight here on Talk. Yeah,
it's just the asylum. Look, RAF Wethersfield, it's in total disarray. I've got some shocking videos to show the audience. That is madness. I've also got...
So you always do that. I'm not hosting the show, so she's got some really good content for you. Great. So much better when she does it.
I've also got Young Bob, who I know is a fan favourite.
Young Bob, love Young Bob.
He's going to talk about, basically, there's this really inappropriate drag queen show that's going to be shown to under fives. Turning Point's going to stage a protest.
We did the story. I was going to say to you, get Young Bob.
Yeah, well, there you go. You'll get what you want.
Rights campaigner, but I knew that Young Bob, because he's only 17 anyway. This is a show, folks, if you missed it.
Yes.
It's starring a drag queen called, what's her name, Tanya Lecoq.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's for 5-year-olds.
Under fives.
Yeah.
Under fives.
Under fives. Lecoq is her name. C-O-Q, just to make sure that you don't think I'm being obscene, but that's not right. So good story. I was going to suggest you get Young Bob on
3 steps
but
ahead.
You were way ahead of me, as usual,
So, yeah, we've got a really ram-packed show. I'm also going to be going over to Hillingdon, where they